You will obey my command. Let go of me!
The morning sun beat down hard on the asphalt of Naval Base Coronado. It was 600, and the movement was already intense. Military trucks rolled in and out, Marines ran in formation, and the smell of diesel oil mixed with the salty Pacific breeze. Sergeant Tyler Brock stood at the main gate, clipboard in hand, checking credentials. At 28, he was the typical hard-ass instructor, broad shoulders, square jaw, and an unshakable confidence in his ability to sniff out trouble from miles away. He took pride in his reputation. Nothing got past him without thorough inspection. That's when she appeared. A blonde woman, long hair pulled back in an impeccable ponytail, Ray-Ban sunglasses covering half her face. She wore a simple gray t-shirt, fitted jeans, and white running shoes. A black backpack hung from her shoulder. She walked with firm steps, but unhurried, toward the hangar access. Date. Tyler saw her and immediately frowned. Tourist? Lost officer's wife? He didn't know, but something about her instantly irritated him. Maybe it was the perfectly styled hair. Maybe it was the absolute calm with which she ignored the stares of the men around her. He took 3 large steps and blocked her path with his body. "Hey, stop right there!" His voice was rough, cutting. "This sector is restricted. You can't go through." She stopped. Slowly, she lowered her sunglasses to the tip of her nose and looked at him over the lenses. Her eyes were blue, cold as Arctic ice. "I need to get to Hangar 7, she said, her voice even and controlled. "I have clearance." Tyler let out a short, derisive laugh. He looked her up and down with deliberate slowness, his eyes lingering on her hair, her civilian clothes, the delicate features of her face. "Clearance," he repeated, his tone dripping with mockery. "Lady, this isn't a beauty salon. This is a military installation. The nearest Starbucks is about 5 miles that way." He jerked his thumb over his shoulder. A few sailors walking nearby slowed down, sensing confrontation. One of them nudged his buddy and whispered something. They stopped to watch. The woman didn't react to the insult. She simply reached into her back pocket and pulled out a military ID card, extending it toward him. Tyler snatched it from her hand with unnecessary force. He examined it with exaggerated scrutiny, holding it up to the light, turning it over, studying the photo, then her face, then the photo again. "Captain Sarah Mitchell," he read aloud, his voice laden with skepticism. "Navy, Special Warfare Command." He looked at her again, his eyes narrowing. Special Warfare? This blonde woman in civilian clothes? No way. "This has to be fake," he said flatly. "Or stolen. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with me to the security office so we can verify this." "It's not fake," she replied, her voice still maddeningly calm. "And I don't have time for this. I have a briefing at 06:30. Tyler's face flushed red. The audacity of this woman. Not only was she trying to bluff her way onto a restricted military base, but now she was getting an attitude with him. "Listen, sweetheart," he said, stepping closer, invading her personal space. His voice dropped to a low, menacing growl. "I don't know what game you're playing, but it ends now. You're not going anywhere except to the MP station, and if you resist, I will have you cuffed and detained. Do I make myself clear?" He grabbed her arm, not gently, and began to pull her toward the guardhouse. That's when she moved. It wasn't violent. It wasn't aggressive. It was simply precise. In one fluid motion, she twisted her arm free using a joint lock technique that sent a sharp jolt of pain up Tyler's wrist. Before he could react, she had rotated her body, positioning herself at an angle where he couldn't easily grab her again. It happened in less than 2 seconds. Tyler stumbled. Back, his face a mixture of shock and fury. The watching sailor's eyes went wide. "Sergeant," she said, her voice now carrying an edge of steel. "You just laid hands on a superior officer without cause. I suggest you take a step back, verify my credentials properly, and reconsider your approach." Tyler's mind raced. Superior officer? This woman? Impossible. But that move she just pulled, That wasn't something a civilian would know. Doubt began to creep in. Just then, a voice boomed across the parking lot. "Brock, what the hell is going on here?" Master Chief Petty Officer Daniel. Cortez was striding toward them, his face a thundercloud of barely contained rage. At 45, Cortez was a legend at Coronado, 3 decades in the Navy, 2 Silver Stars, and a reputation for suffering no fools. His presence alone could make junior enlisted personnel forget how to speak. Tyler snapped. To attention, relief flooding through him. Finally, backup. Someone with real authority who would sort out this mess and expose this imposter. "Master Chief," Tyler said, his voice confident. "I've got a situation here. This civilian is attempting to gain unauthorized access to the hangar facilities. With what appears to be fraudulent identification. She's claiming to be a Navy captain, Special Warfare Command, but—" "Shut your mouth, Sergeant," Cortez cut him off, his voice low and deadly. Tyler's words died in his throat. He watched in confusion as the Master Chief walked straight past him, coming to a stop directly in front of the blonde woman. The Master Chief's stern expression shifted, not to friendliness exactly, but to something like profound respect. "Captain Mitchell," Cortez said, his voice formal. "Welcome back to Coronado. I apologize for this interruption." Tyler felt the ground shift beneath his feet. The Master Chief knew her. It wasn't fake. Sarah removed her sunglasses completely, revealing sharp, intelligent eyes that had seen things Tyler couldn't imagine. She gave Cortez a slight nod. "Master Chief, good to see you, though I was hoping for a quieter arrival." Cortez's jaw tightened. He turned slowly toward Tyler, and the look in his eyes could have melted steel. "Sergeant Brock, do you have any idea who you just put your hands on?" Tyler's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Sir, she didn't look like... she's wearing civilian clothes and you assumed," Cortez finished for him. "You looked at her hair, her face, her clothes, and you made a judgment. Did you even properly scan her ID? Did you check the database? Did you do your job? Or did you just decide that a woman who looks like her couldn't possibly be what she says she is?" The small crowd that had gathered was growing. More sailors, a few junior officers, and even a Marine gunnery sergeant had stopped to watch the spectacle. Tyler could feel their eyes on him, could sense the shift in the air from curiosity to judgment. "Master Chief, I was following protocol," Tyler protested, but his voice lacked conviction now. "She approached a restricted area without proper—" "She has full base access," Cortez interrupted. "Alpha 1 clearance. Do you know what that means, Sergeant?" Tyler swallowed hard. Alpha 1 clearance was reserved for a very specific group: SEAL team commanders, intelligence chiefs, and senior special operations officers. It meant unrestricted access to virtually every facility on the base. I didn't scan the chip," Tyler admitted, his face pale. "No, you didn't," Cortez confirmed. "You just assumed a woman in jeans. Couldn't be military. Couldn't be special operations. Couldn't be your superior." Sarah held up a hand. "Master Chief, it's fine. Mistakes happen." "With respect, ma'am, it's not fine," Cortez said firmly. He turned back to Tyler. "Captain Mitchell isn't just any officer, Brock. She's the new commanding officer of SEAL Team 7. She graduated Bud S in the top 15% of her class. She has 3 combat deployments: Afghanistan, Iraq, and Somalia. She holds an expert marksmanship rating in 6 different weapon systems. She speaks 4 languages fluently. And last year she led the operation that extracted those 2 kidnapped aid workers from Yemen. The one you read about in the briefing? The one where nobody died except the hostage takers? That was her." With each sentence, Tyler felt himself shrinking. The sailors around them had gone completely silent. One of them, a petty officer first class, was staring at Sarah with open awe. Sarah shifted uncomfortably. "Master Chief, you're embarrassing me." "You don't get embarrassed, ma'am," Cortez said with the ghost of a smile. "I've seen you rappel from a helicopter into a firefight. You don't do embarrassment." He turned, his full attention back to Tyler. What you do, Sergeant, is judge people by their credentials, not their appearance. You verify before you accuse, and you sure as hell don't put your hands on a superior officer. Tyler's face had gone from pale to crimson. Humiliation burned through him like acid. He wanted to disappear, to sink into the asphalt. Captain, I apologize, he stammered. I was wrong. I should have. Sarah cut him off with a gesture. You should have done your job properly. Not because I'm a captain, but because professionalism matters. Every person who comes through that gate deserves to be treated with a baseline of respect until they prove otherwise. Man or woman, officer or enlisted, military or civilian. She stepped closer to him, and though she was a good 6 inches shorter than Tyler, in that moment she seemed to tower over him. Let me ask you something, Sergeant. If I had been a man in civilian clothes, same ID, same clearance, same situation, would you have grabbed my arm? Would you have called me sweetheart? Would you have made a joke about beauty salons? Tyler couldn't meet her eyes. He stared at his boots, shame washing over him in waves. No, ma'am, he whispered. That's what I thought. She paused, letting the lesson sink in. You've got good instincts, Sergeant. You're alert, you're protective of your base, and I respect that. But your assumptions nearly turned a routine security check into an incident report. Learn from this. Before Tyler could respond, a radio on Cortez's belt crackled to life. Master Chief Cortez, this is command. We need Captain Mitchell in the SIF immediately. Admiral Hawkins is on secure video. It's urgent. Cortez keyed his radio. Copy that. Captain Mitchell is with me. We're en route. He looked at Sarah. Ma'am, we need to move now. Sarah nodded and turned back toward the hangar access gate. But before she could take more than 2 steps, Tyler's voice stopped her. Captain Mitchell, ma'am, wait. She paused and looked back over her shoulder. Tyler stood at rigid attention, his face still flushed with shame. But there was something else in his eyes now, genuine remorse and a desperate need to make things right. Permission to speak freely, ma'am. Sarah exchanged a glance with Master Chief Cortez, who gave the slightest nod. She turned to face Tyler fully. Go ahead. Sergeant. Tyler took a shaky breath. Ma'am, there's no excuse for what I did, none. I let my assumptions override my training and I disrespected you in the process, but... He hesitated, then pressed on. I need you to know it wasn't just about you being a woman. It was about me being an idiot. Who thought he could read people just by looking at them? He paused, struggling with the words. My sister. She's Army. She's a combat medic. 3 tours. And she's dealt with this crap her whole career. Guys like me who look at her and see a pretty girl instead of a soldier. I've watched her deal with it. I've gotten angry on her behalf, and yet here I am, doing the exact same thing to someone else. His voice cracked slightly. I became what I hate, and I'm sorry, ma'am. Truly sorry. The silence stretched for several seconds. Even the ambient noise of the base seemed to fade. No truck. Engines, no shouted commands, just the sound of the ocean breeze and Tyler's ragged breathing. Sarah studied him, her expression unreadable. Then, surprisingly, her features softened just slightly. What's your sister's name, Sergeant? Corporal Emma Brock, ma'am, 68W Combat Medic Specialist. She's at Fort Campbell right now. Sarah nodded slowly. When you talk to her next, tell her a Navy captain said thank you for her service. And tell her... She paused, choosing her words carefully. Tell her that we all make mistakes. What matters is what we do after we realize we've made them. She took a step closer to Tyler. You're going to encounter a lot of female service members in your career, Sergeant. More every year. Some of them will be support staff, some will be pilots, some will be special operators. And yes, some will be your superiors. Each one of them has earned their place just like you earned yours. Remember that. I will, ma'am, Tyler said quietly. I swear I will. Good. She turned to leave again, but then stopped and looked back one more time. And Sergeant, your instincts about security aren't wrong. Your execution just needs work. Keep that edge, just sharpen it. Properly. With that, she and Master Chief Cortez strode toward the hangar complex, their pace quickening to a near jog. Tyler watched them go, still standing at attention, his mind reeling. The gathered crowd began to disperse, but not before several sailors shot Tyler looks that ranged from sympathetic to contemptuous. One lance corporal muttered, "Smooth move, dipshit," as he walked past, but the gunnery sergeant, a grizzled veteran with iron-gray hair and a chest full of ribbons, stopped next to Tyler. His nameplate read, Henderson. "Rough morning, son?" Henderson said, not unkindly. "Yes, Gunny," Tyler replied, his voice hollow. Henderson crossed his arms, studying the young sergeant. "Let me tell you something. I've been in this man's corps for 23 years. I've served with women who could outshoot me, outthink me, and outfight me. And you know what the hardest lesson I had to learn was," Tyler shook his head, "that my assumptions were my weakest point. Not the enemy, not the mission. Me." Henderson poked Tyler in the chest with one thick finger. "Captain Mitchell just gave you a gift, Marine. She could have ended your career right there, filed a formal complaint. Had you brought up on charges for laying hands on a superior officer. She didn't. You know why? No, Gunny. Because she's been where you are. Not the same situation, maybe, but she knows what it's like to be underestimated, dismissed, and disrespected, and she chose to teach instead of punish." Henderson's voice hardened. "Don't waste that gift. Learn from it. Become better. Because next time you might not get a second chance." "I won't waste it, Gunny, I promise." Henderson nodded approvingly. "Good. Now get your head straight and get back to your post, and Brock?" "Yes, Gunny. Go home tonight and call your sister. Tell her you're sorry for every time you didn't stand up for her. Then tell her you get it now. Trust me, she'll appreciate hearing it." Henderson walked away, leaving Tyler alone at the gate with his thoughts and his shame. Meanwhile, Sarah and Master Chief Cortez had reached Hangar 7. They bypassed the main entrance and headed for a nondescript door on the east side, the entrance to the Sensitive Compartmented Information Facility, or SCIF, where classified briefings took place. Cortez swiped his card and pressed his thumb to the biometric scanner. The heavy door clicked open, revealing a sterile corridor lit by harsh fluorescent lights. "Any idea what this is about, Master Chief?" Sarah asked as they walked quickly down the hallway. "No clue, ma'am, but when an admiral calls an emergency secure video conference at Yo 6:30, it's never good news." They reached the briefing room, a windowless space dominated by a large conference table and multiple screens on the walls. Two other officers were already there. Commander Price, the XO of Naval Special Warfare Group 1, and Lieutenant Commander Hayes, the intelligence liaison. Both men stood as Sarah entered. Price, a tall man with prematurely gray hair, extended his hand. "Captain Mitchell, good to finally meet you in person. Sorry it has to be under these circumstances." "Circumstances, sir?" Sarah shook his hand firmly. "You'll see in a moment." He gestured to the main screen. "Admiral, Hawkins is connecting now." The screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Rear Admiral Richard Hawkins, commander of Naval Special Warfare Command. His office, somewhere in the Pentagon, was barely visible behind him, deliberately kept out of focus for security reasons. "Captain Mitchell?" "Good morning," Hawkins said without preamble. "I apologize for the abrupt summons, but we have a developing situation that requires immediate attention." "Your immediate attention." Sarah felt her pulse quicken. She'd been on base for less than 15 minutes and already there was a crisis. "Welcome to Special Operations." "I'm ready, sir. What's the situation?" Hawkins's expression grew even grimmer. 6 hours ago, a yacht carrying 3 American civilians, a tech CEO and his family, went silent approximately 40 nautical miles off the coast of Colombia. Their last transmission indicated they were being approached by an unidentified speedboat. Colombian Navy has confirmed the yacht is no longer at its last known position. Sarah's mind immediately began running calculations: threat assessment, response time, assets available. "Piracy or kidnapping, sir?" "We're operating under the assumption it's kidnapping." The CEO is Marcus Hartley, founder of CipherCore Systems. He has access to some extremely sensitive technology and encryption protocols. If a hostile nation-state has him, he didn't need to finish the sentence. Sarah understood perfectly. What's the mission timeline? Aggressive, Hawkins said bluntly. State Department is negotiating through back channels, but intel suggests the hostages are being moved inland, probably to a FARC splinter group stronghold in the jungle. Once they disappear into that territory, retrieval becomes exponentially harder. Maybe impossible. He leaned closer to the camera. Captain Mitchell, I need SEAL Team 7 mission ready in 12 hours. Full hostage extraction package. You'll be working with Delta Force and CIA paramilitary. This is your first command mission. I need to know right now. Are you ready? Every eye in. The room turned to Sarah. This was the moment. The test, not just of her skills, but of her authority, her leadership, her right to wear the trident. Sarah didn't hesitate. She met the Admiral's gaze through the screen with absolute certainty. Yes, sir. Team 7 will be ready. What's our insertion window? A flicker of approval crossed Hawkins's face. That's what I wanted to hear. Lieutenant Commander Hayes will brief you on the full intelligence package, but here's what we know. The hostages were last seen being transferred to a cargo truck at a coastal fishing village called Puerto Escondido. From there, the trail goes cold, but satellite imagery shows increased activity at a compound approximately 60 kilometers inland. The compound is owned by a shell corporation with ties to remnants of the old FARC network, now basically a criminal cartel dealing in kidnapping, drugs, and weapons. Hayes pulled up a satellite image on one of the side screens. Sarah studied it intently. A cluster of buildings surrounded by dense jungle, a single-access road, what looked like guard towers at two corners. What's the civilian population in the area? Sarah asked, her mind already working through scenarios. Minimal, Hayes responded. Nearest village is 8 clicks away. The compound itself is strictly criminal operations. No families, no non-combatants according to our intel. According to intel, Sarah repeated, her tone pointed. Do we have eyes-on confirmation? Hayes shifted uncomfortably. Not yet, ma'am. We're working on getting a drone over the target area, but Colombian airspace is politically sensitive right now. We're trying to avoid diplomatic complications. Sarah nodded, filing that information away. Going in without real-time intelligence was risky, but hardly unprecedented in her world. What about the hostages' condition? She asked. Do we know if they're injured? How they're being held? Unknown, Hawkins admitted. But the priority is speed. Every hour we delay, they get deeper into territory where extraction becomes a nightmare. I'm giving you operational command, Captain. You'll coordinate with Delta and CIA, but this is your mission to plan and execute. Commander Price spoke up. Captain Mitchell, your team is good, very good, but they haven't worked together much. You've been in command for less than a month. Are you confident they'll follow your lead into something this hot? It was a fair question, though Sarah detected the underlying skepticism. Price was old-school Navy, a veteran of Desert Storm. He respected women in the service, but Sarah could tell he had his doubts about women in direct combat. Leadership roles, especially in SEAL teams. My team will perform, sir, Sarah said evenly. They're professionals. They know the mission comes first. That's not what I asked, Price pressed. I asked if they'll follow you. There's a difference, Captain. The room went silent. Even through the video screen, Admiral Hawkins watched intently, waiting for her response. Sarah took a breath. She could have bristled at the question, could have gotten defensive. Instead, she chose honesty. You're right, Commander. There is a difference. And the truth is, I haven't earned their complete trust. Yet, some of them are skeptical. Some of them think I got this command because of politics, not merit. Some of them are waiting for me to fail. She paused, her voice hardening with determination. Which is exactly why I won't fail. They'll follow me because I'll be the first one through the door. and the last one to leave. They'll follow me because when the bullets start flying, I'll prove that I belong there just as much as they do." Price studied her for a long moment, then gave a slight nod. "Fair enough, Captain. Fair enough." Admiral Hawkins cleared his throat. "Captain Mitchell, you have 12 hours to prepare your team. Air transport will be standing by at 1900 hours. You'll fly to a staging area in Panama, link up with Delta and CIA assets, then launch when we have confirmation on the hostage location. Questions? Just one, sir. Rules of engagement? Protect American lives. Recover the hostages. Use whatever force is necessary. The Colombian government has given us quiet approval for a surgical strike, but officially, we were never there. This is a black operation, Captain. No publicity, no recognition, no margin for error." "Understood, sir." "Good, I'll expect. Regular updates through Commander Hayes. And Captain?" Hawkins's expression softened just slightly. "I wouldn't have given you this command if I didn't believe you could handle it. Go prove me right." The screen went dark. Sarah stood still for a moment, letting the weight of it settle on her shoulders. Her first major operation as a SEAL team commander, a hostage rescue in hostile territory, with a team that barely knew her. No pressure at all. Master Chief Cortez was the first to speak. "I'll start assembling the team, ma'am. Where do you want to conduct the briefing?" "Team room, 0800. Hours. Full mission brief, gear check by 1000. We run a complete rehearsal at 1400. I want every possible scenario war-gamed before we step on that aircraft." "Aye, ma'am." Cortez headed for the door, already pulling out his phone to start making calls. Commander Price approached Sarah, his expression unreadable. "Captain, a word of advice." "Sir?" "Some of your team members. They're going to test you. They're going to push back, question your decisions, maybe even insubordination if they think they can get away with it. It's not personal. They do it to any new commander, but with you they'll push harder because you're a woman and because you're young for this command." Sarah met his gaze steadily. "What do you suggest I do about it, sir? Don't try to be their friend. Don't try to prove you're one of the guys. Just be their commander. Make good decisions, stay calm under pressure, and show them you're willing to bleed alongside them. That's all any SEAL respects, competence and courage." "Thank you, sir. I'll keep that in mind." Price nodded and left the room. Lieutenant Commander Hayes lingered, pulling up more intelligence files on his laptop. "Captain, I'll have the complete target analysis ready for your 0800 briefing. Satellite imagery, terrain maps, known hostile force composition, everything we have." "Appreciated, Hayes. What's your gut feeling on this operation?" Hayes looked up, surprised to be asked. "Honestly, ma'am? Always. It's going to be messy. The intel is thin, the timeline is tight, and we're operating in a region where local groups have home field advantage. But if anyone can pull it off, it's a SEAL team. And if the rumors about your record are true," he hesitated. "Say it. If they're true, then Admiral Hawkins chose the, right person for this. Just watch your six out there, ma'am. Not everyone on your team is going to have your back until you prove yourself to them." Sarah nodded slowly. "I appreciate the honesty, Hayes." After he left, Sarah stood alone in the briefing room, staring at the satellite image of the, compound still displayed on the screen. Somewhere in that jungle, 3 terrified Americans were waiting for rescue. They had no idea that help was coming. They had no idea that their best chance of survival was a female SEAL commander who'd been underestimated her entire career. She pulled out her phone and scrolled to a photo, her bud's graduation class. 23 men and her, all mud-covered and exhausted, arms around each other's shoulders. She'd made it through Hell Week alongside them. She'd earned her trident alongside them. And now she had to prove it all over again. Her phone buzzed. A text from Master Chief Cortez. "Team assembled in 45 minutes, Latane Reeves asking questions. Might be a problem." Sarah's jaw tightened. Lieutenant Jake Reeves, her second in command, a 10-year SEAL veteran with 3 combat deployments. He'd been openly skeptical of her appointment, had made comments to other team members about diversity quotas and political correctness. She'd heard the rumors but had ignored them, hoping he'd come around once he saw her in action. Apparently that time had come sooner than expected. She typed back, "I'll handle Reeves. See you in 45. Sarah." Took one last look at the compound on the screen, memorizing its layout. Then she turned and walked out of the skiff, her stride confident and purposeful. In 12 hours, she'd be leading her team into combat. But first, she had to win a different kind of battle, the one for their respect. The SEAL. Team 7 Ready Room was a fortress of masculine energy. The walls were covered with unit patches, faded photographs from deployments, and a large trident emblem painted in gold. The smell of gun oil, coffee, and sweat hung in the air. Equipment lockers lined one wall, and a large table dominated. The center of the room, currently covered with maps and gear. Sarah walked in at exactly 0755 hours. The room fell silent. 12 men stood around the table, all in their combat fatigues. Their faces ranged from curious to openly hostile. Master Chief Cortez stood at the far end, his expression neutral but his eyes watching everything. And there, leaning against the equipment lockers with his arms crossed, was Lieutenant Jake Reeves. Reeves was the textbook image of a SEAL operator, 6'2", barrel-chested, with a thick beard and arms covered in tactical tattoos. His green eyes were sharp and calculating. He'd been with Team 7 for 4 years and had been widely expected to take command when the previous CO retired. Instead, the position had gone to Sarah. He didn't stand at attention when she entered. He didn't even straighten up. He just stared at her with an expression, That said, prove it. Sarah walked to the head of the table and set down her tablet. She didn't acknowledge the tension. She simply looked at each man in turn, meeting their eyes, taking their measure. "Gentlemen, I'm Captain Sarah Mitchell. As of 2 weeks ago, I'm your commanding officer for those of you who don't know my record. Master Chief Cortez can fill you in later. Right now, we don't have time for introductions or getting to know you sessions. We have a mission." She tapped her tablet, and the main screen on the wall lit up with the satellite image of the compound. 6 hours. Go, 3 American civilians were kidnapped off the Colombian coast. Marcus Hartley, his wife Jennifer, and their 14-year-old daughter Emma. Hartley is the CEO of Cipher Core Systems. He has access to encryption technology that could compromise every secure communication system we use. If a foreign power gets him, the damage would be catastrophic. She pulled up the next image, photos of the 3 hostages smiling on their yacht just hours before the kidnapping. Intel suggests they're being held at this compound, 60 clicks inland from Puerto Escondido. The compound is controlled by a FARC splinter group that's now basically a criminal cartel, armed, dangerous, and they've killed hostages before when negotiations went south. One of the operators, a stocky chief petty officer named Torres, spoke up. "What's our window, ma'am?" 12 hours to wheels up. We stage in Panama. Coordinate with Delta and CIA, then launch as soon as we have target confirmation. This is a surgical extraction. In fast, grab the hostages, out faster. Questions so far? Silence. The men were professionals, and despite their reservations about her, they were listening. Then Reeves pushed off from the lockers and walked slowly toward the table. He didn't look at Sarah. He looked at the satellite image. "What's the compound's defensive posture?" he asked, his voice casual but with an edge to it. "Unknown," Sarah admitted. "We're working on getting a drone over the target, but so we're going." "In blind," Reeves interrupted, finally looking at her. "No real-time intel, no eyes-on confirmation of hostage location, no accurate count of hostile forces. That's a recipe for disaster, Captain." "It's not ideal," Sarah conceded, "but the alternative is waiting while the hostages are moved deeper into territory where we can't reach them. Time is not on our side." "Time is never on our side," Reeves shot back. That's why we plan properly. Rushing into a hot zone with bad intel is how operators die. The room's temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Several operators shifted uncomfortably. Master Chief Cortez took a step forward, but Sarah held up a hand, stopping him. "You're right, Lieutenant," she said calmly. "Bad intel gets people killed, which is why we're going to spend the next 12 hours building the best operational plan we can with the information available. We'll wargame every scenario, identify contingencies, and ensure every member of this team knows their role inside and out." "With respect, ma'am," Reeves said, though his tone carried no respect at all. "I've run 16 hostage extractions in my career. I know how to plan these operations. What I don't know is whether you've ever actually led one, because according to your record, this would be your first time as team commander on a direct action mission." There it was, the challenge, laid out in front of the entire team. Sarah could feel every eye in the room on her. This was the moment. How she handled Reeves right now would define her relationship with this team for the entire deployment, maybe for her entire command. She could pull rank, could shut him down with military discipline, but that would only confirm their suspicions that she couldn't handle dissent, that she was hiding behind her position. Or she could meet him head-on. Sarah walked around the table until she was standing directly in front of Reeves, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "You're right, Lieutenant, this is my first mission as team commander. But before I got this position, I led 4 direct action missions as a platoon leader, 3 in Afghanistan, 1 in Somalia. I've breached doors, cleared rooms, and carried wounded operators to extract points. I've been shot at, blown up, and I've had to make life or death decisions while people were dying around me." She paused, her voice hardening. "What I haven't done is question my commanding officer's competence in front of the entire team during a mission brief. So here's what's going to happen, Lieutenant Reeves. You're going to take your seat. You're going to contribute your expertise to this operation, and you're going to keep your personal opinions about my qualifications to yourself. After the mission, if you still have concerns, you can request a transfer to another team. But right now, we have a job to do, and I need to know if you're with me or not." The room was dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop on the concrete floor. Reeves stared down at her, his jaw tight, his eyes burning with barely contained anger. For a moment, Sarah thought he might actually refuse, might push it to the point where she'd have to relieve him of duty. Then Master Chief Cortez's voice cut through the tension like a knife. "Lieutenant Reeves, the captain asked you a question. Are you with us or not?" The implication was clear. This was the line. Cross it, and there would be consequences. Reeves's eyes flicked to Cortez, then back to Sarah. A muscle in his jaw twitched. Then, slowly, he took a step back. "I'm with you, ma'am," he said, though the words seemed to cost him something. "Good," Sarah said, her tone returning to professional neutrality. "Then let's get to work." She turned back to the table, pulling up the detailed terrain maps. "We'll divide into 3 elements: assault, security, and extract. Reeves, you'll lead the assault element. Your job is to breach the compound and secure the hostages. Torres, you're on security. Lock down the perimeter and make sure we don't get flanked. I'll lead the extract element and provide overwatch." Reeves frowned. "Captain, with respect, the team commander usually leads the assault." "Usually," Sarah agreed, "but not always. You have more experience with building entries than anyone else on this team. I'd be stupid not to use that. I'm a better marksman than most of you. Range. Scores prove it. So I'm more valuable on Overwatch. We put people where they're most effective, Lieutenant. That's good leadership." She could see the gears turning in Reeves's head. She'd just given him command of the most dangerous and prestigious part of the operation while framing it as tactical. Logic, not appeasement. It was a calculated move. Give him what he wanted while maintaining her authority. Reeves gave a grudging nod. "Understood, ma'am." For the next 2 hours, the team worked through the operational plan. Sarah asked questions, listened to input, and made decisions with calm, confidence. She knew her stuff. That much was clear. She understood room-clearing techniques, extraction protocols, emergency contingencies. She spoke the language of special operations fluently. Slowly, imperceptibly, the atmosphere in the room began to shift. The operators still had their doubts, but they started contributing ideas instead of just watching skeptically. Torres offered a suggestion about approach routes. A young petty officer named Kim pointed out a potential ambush site on the extract path. Even Reeves grudgingly provided valuable intelligence about similar compounds he'd assaulted in Iraq. They were starting to function like a team. At 1,000 hours, Sarah called a break. Gear check in 30 minutes. We'll run a full-scale rehearsal at 1400 in the kill house. Be ready. As the operators filed out to grab coffee and check their equipment, Master Chief Cortez approached Sarah. He kept his voice low. That was well handled, ma'am. Reeves was testing you. You didn't back down, but you didn't destroy him either. Smart. He's still not convinced, Sarah said quietly. No, he's not. But he will be. Once the bullets start flying and he sees you're not hiding. In the rear, he'll come around. They all will. Cortez paused. Just make sure you come back alive to see it, ma'am. These guys need a commander they can believe in. Don't get yourself killed trying to prove a point. Sarah gave him a wry smile. I'll do my best, Master Chief. After he left, Sarah pulled out her phone. She had a message from Admiral Hawkins. Drone has eyes on target. Hostages confirmed alive. Heavy security presence. This will be hot. Launch time moved up to 1,700 hours. Good luck, Captain. 5 hours. They'd lost 7 hours of prep time. Sarah closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Then she walked out of the ready room to gather her team. The clock was ticking, and 3 innocent people were waiting for rescue. Whether her team believed in her or not, she had a job to do. The C-17 cargo plane descended through the night sky toward the jungle staging area. Inside, Sarah and her team sat in silence, each man lost in his own pre-mission ritual. Some checked weapons for the 100th time. Others stared into space, visualizing the assault. Reeves sat across from her, his face unreadable behind his night vision goggles pushed up on his helmet. The rehearsal had gone flawlessly. Every operator knew his role, every contingency had been planned. But rehearsals didn't shoot back. 5 minutes, the loadmaster shouted. Sarah keyed her radio. Final check, sound off. One by one, her team confirmed ready status. Weapons hot, comms green, medical gear secured. They were as ready as they'd ever be. The plane touched down. The ramp dropped and humid jungle air rushed in. 2 Blackhawks waited on the tarmac, rotors already turning. Move out, Sarah commanded. The team flowed toward the helicopters with practiced efficiency. As Sarah climbed aboard, she caught Reeves looking at her. For the first time, she didn't see skepticism in his eyes. She saw something else. Respect. Maybe not yet, but at least acceptance. The helicopters lifted off, skimming low over the jungle canopy toward the compound. Sarah checked her rifle one last time and thought about the 14-year-old girl waiting in the darkness, hoping someone would come. We're coming, Emma, just hold on.